Okay, so a couple of people have asked me recently about tuning drums, so I want to show you how I go about tuning my drums. Now, everybody has their own little ways of doing it. The object is to get good sounding drums how you want them to sound. So I know how I want my drums to sound, and I know how to go about doing that. So what I'm going to do is show you how to get my drums sounding like I want them to sound. And hopefully, by going through the process, you'll be able to get your drums to sound the way you want to sound. So, in order to do this, I'm going to use a 12-inch tom. The reason I picked a 12-inch tom is because I happen to have a 12-inch head hanging around that's brand new, so I can show you how to start from scratch. Also, it's a good tom because it's right in the middle and you have reference points on the left higher and on the right lower. So let me just get the tom off the rack and we'll proceed. The first thing I want to do before I do get the tom off the rack is to demonstrate the progression of the toms closest to it on either side, the adjacent toms, maybe to the left, to the right, and just show you the descending and ascending tones that I get from the way I like to tune my drums. So, okay, so starting with the 10-inch concert tom, and going down 5 drums, we have so this is the drum I want to tune, and what I want it to do is to go between now you're going to wonder, why is he not hitting the 13-inch tom? Well, this is a 12, this is a 13, this is a 14. It's much easier to tune these so that they go down in the typical fashion. This one is a go-between the 12 and the 14, and it's really there, sort of an in-between drum that enables one to do longer fills and different triplet patterns and more filling in a close proximity without having to mount a big 14-inch tom right here. So it gives me another color, but in terms of actually tuning the drums, I usually use the 10 and the 14 as the basis of my drums. So if we remember this sound, hopefully after I put the new head on and tune it all up, it'll sound pretty close to what that is. So, let's begin. Okay, so here we have the 12-inch tom. It's a double-headed tom with a thin ambassador on the bottom and a pinstripe clear on the top. Now, this is a pretty new head, and I'm going to put it back on after I'm finished demonstrating this, but it's not new enough to reapply it as if it's new, because there are certain things that happen with a new head that wouldn't happen with this because it's a few months old. So the first thing is the tools of the trade. The first thing obviously is a drumstick, so you can tell if it's in tune. Now the next thing is a key, a drum key. Now, if you can get a hold of one of these, it's sort of like a ratchet. It's really cool. You can save yourself hours and hours, especially if you have like 13 drums like I do. So, you know, you can undo them so much faster. I use this regular key for fine tuning only. So I'll put that aside for now. So the first thing I do is just take these babies off. I usually just loosen them off few turns and then do the rest, as you can see, because I'm a real lazy bugger and I like to save time. So now they're all loose, I can pretty much do it by hand. So you take it off, you shake out the sawdust from your cymbals, and throw it to the neighbors for them to play with. But I'm going to hold on to this one. So the third key is a new head. Hopefully it's the same head. Oh, they didn't lie to me. So here's another nice 12-inch pinstripe. Now I like to make sure that just purely for my own mental well-being, I like to have the little crown of the Remo sign in the middle on the top of all my drums so that they all look the same. So that's just a little thing. It really doesn't matter where you put it as far as sound is concerned, but I like to do that. So, but before I put the head on, I'll just double check and make sure the bottom head is still pretty much in tune. Now, I don't really go for any tone as far as tuning, except for the natural tone of the drum itself. And you notice I have this drum off of the drum set. Never tune your drums until you're finally tuning them on the drum set, because there's so many other things that vibrate along with it. Your snare will rattle. Your cymbal might just slightly ring a little bit and give you some overtones that you don't want, and you can't quite get the tuning right. So I usually tune, if I'm replacing a head by itself just because it broke or because I need a new head, I'll actually take it in the other room and do it. But just for this sake, you know, it's not a big deal to do it in the same room. But definitely, sure, if you're in a hurry and you're doing it between, you know, your second and third set at a bar or something, by all means, you don't need to take it off and you can get by with replacing it. But if you want to do it nicely so all of your heads sound really good, do it one at a time, remove them. Okay, so as I was saying, I've got the top head off. So I'll take a look at the bottom head and just examine it, make sure it hasn't cracked, make sure it's relatively tight. I don't really care what the tone is, again. It's a nice thin head. It's just there as a bouncing board for the top head, which is the tuned head. Yes, it needs to be in tune so that it's, you know, all the lugs have the same sound. So that seems like it's in pretty decent condition. It should be, because I just tuned these 6 weeks ago. So, and I haven't been playing lately. So for me, a good reminder of where I'm supposed to put the crown, as I mentioned before, is where the actual pearl label is on my drums. I have all my drums set up so that there's a pearl label at the top of the drum, so to speak, next to where the attachment lug is right here. So that's an easy reminder for me, because I'm getting old, you know, my mind is